The Lord of creatures created men along with yagna and said, by this you shall bring forth, and this shall be that unto you which will yield the milk of your desires. Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna here that when he says do work as a yagna, these are not Shri Krishna's words. He's also saying that what he stated is not even new. This yagna is connected to the creation of the world. By Lord of creatures, he means Brahma. This whole world was created by yagna. When people were created, so was this concept of yagna created. The two are inseparable. When men and women were created, they would go and develop themselves towards their goals. They were told by this yagna they would be able to attain whatever they desired. It was done with this feeling of sacrifice. The world was not created by a feeling of desire, because the cause of creation was auspicious. It wasn't desire, it was yagna. The cause of creation was pure. This world is of God's nature. In the same way the world was created, these classes were created with that feeling of yagna, such a divine and pure feeling. And this world is of God's nature. There's a reason why the world was created with this feeling of yagna. We've already seen in the last verse that there is no ego in yagna. Only when the ego goes is there a true yagna. God created such a beautiful universe and has stayed hidden. When any common artist paints a painting, he signs at the bottom of the picture. This tells the world that the artist painted the picture. The artist draws a picture of the sun and then he signs it at the bottom. If he paints a beautiful portrait, then he signs it. He shows that he drew it. God created such a beautiful universe. If the painter says his painting of the sun is his, then God draws this real life picture every single day. Not only every day, but he's doing for times forever. The sun is setting, then we're seeing that it's rising somewhere else. Somewhere in the world, there's always a sun in the sky. God has been doing so forever. It not only makes it rise, but also makes it set. While the sun may be rising where we are, it will also be setting somewhere else. After doing all of this, does God ever say that he's doing all of this? Does he sign anywhere in the universe? An artist signs when he paints one portrait, but God has made so many portraits. You see, every day that everyone looks in their face in the mirror and says that they've got a beautiful face. The reason why all our faces are beautiful, because when we look in the mirror, we say they're beautiful. Would anyone look at the face in the mirror and say that they're ugly? No, it's impossible. Even with this, did God sign anywhere when he created such beautiful faces with God 1963, God 1984? He created such a beautiful world, and yet he has remained hidden. If someone has made really nice food, then they ask everyone to get a certificate that it's nice. Everyone has to tell the cook that no one makes food like him or her. Only when the cook has the certificate do they get satisfied. It gives them the feeling that their cooking is right. Even after doing a small thing, people want fame and a certificate for their achievement. But God never asks for this. Therefore, there's absolutely no ego, and that is why we have this feeling of yagna. Logically, when you see the karma, but when you cannot see the doer, then there is a feeling of yagna. When you see the karma, but you do not see the doer, then there is a feeling of yagna. If you see this, then consider it is a yagna. You see this at the best foundations. You see the actions and good deeds, but the person doing these actions and good deeds is hiding in the background. You never see him, like Raja, and like Satya, and Shikha. And in other places, you see that the doer is yet nothing, the doer is there, yet nothing is being done. These people say that they created 5 programs, but all they do in reality is feed these 5 people themselves. They're making money for themselves. One of these people gave a second person an award for the next time, and then the second person gives that same guy an award the next time. This is not a yagna. In sacrifice, you see the action, but you do not see the person performing the action. This is what God has done. You see the creation of the universe, but you do not see the creator. Regarding the first line of this verse, Sajena Praja Shastra, there's a story behind it in the Mahabharata, in the Shanti Parvar, where Narayani explains Dharma and this process of creation. It's written in detail there, but Shri Krishna says it in one verse here. When Brahma created the world, he got so worried that he created the world, but how would it run? The example we gave before, that what if the sun stopped? What if the grass stopped? What if the body stopped? Who would keep it running and flowing? For that, he did a penance that lasted 1,000 years. When this penance of 1,000 years finished, and God became happy and asked Brahman what boon he would like. Brahma said that he would only like one wish. He had created the world, but he needed it to run and flow. He asked, how could it be done? God sent his Sudarshan Chakra, the discus, into the world of sacrifice. He said that as long as the gods and the humans fulfill their roles in this yagna during their lives, then they'll be able to protect each other and they'll be able to go ahead in life. Not only did God do this, but he also gave his permission. He told the gods and humans that they should continue this yagna by keeping the wheel of yagna turning, and therefore they'll both be able to help each other. This is what Shri Krishna is talking about in this verse. The creation of this world was done by yagna. Whenever each religion has had its philosophy, this question has always been asked: how did the creation of the world take place? Because when a person starts thinking about life, the first question will always be, who am I? And the next question will be, what is this world? And the other questions will come, who created this world? How was it created? Why was it created? We'll look at why was it created in the next class, and then when was it created? So many theories have come up, but not one theory has been totally accepted. We have many theories, such as, for example, the Big Bang theory. The theory in the Vedas is that the creation of the world was done with a yagna in mind. It was created by a yagna. The second chapter of the Rig Veda, the hymn of creation, is very famous. Tasmat yagna sava uta chara samadati yagna na chandyosa jagadi sa tasmat sa tamajata aja ko yagna balahi proksha purushab jata magana tena deva chariranta savya rishi chayatsate. Therefore it says, therefore, from the yagna in which we have been making offerings of yogurt and ghee, the people living in the jungles, the people living in the towns were created. The rishis came, the four Vedas came, the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sama Veda, the Atur Veda came, then the horses, the cows, the goats and the sheep. All of this was created through yagna, not just by humans, but by everyone. If you look at any form of nature or any creature in the world, then you will see that there's a continuous yagna taking place everywhere. Just think, imagine the whole world stops, and imagine it starts all over again. All of nature, trees, sun, rivers, your whole body is doing a yagna for other people, not for themselves. There's a continuous yagna taking place everywhere. The sun is giving its light to everyone. It makes the whole world bright. It helps the world. Therefore, through this yagna, it gives life to all creatures. The photosynthesis that takes place in plants only happens because the sun is there. If the sun were not there, then this world would end just like that. The wind is a sacrifice. The earth is, yagna. The earth is a yagna. Even in the body, this body is a yagna. I'll show this to you by way of example. Regarding the stomach, Shri Krishna says later in the Gita, Aham Vaishvana Bhutva Panam Dehamashita, meaning the food that we eat gets fed to the fire that resides in our stomachs. Ayurveda speaks of this fire in our stomachs. But the stomach does not keep the food. In yagna, there's a charity that's done, and a very, very nice donation is done by the stomach. The food that you put in the stomach is digested by the stomach, and it sends these nutrients to different parts of the body. It distributes these nutrients, and therefore there is a yagna. If the stomach did not distribute these nutrients and kept them for itself, then the stomach would just keep expanding and tear apart, and the person would die. But this does not happen. The stomach distributes the food. Wherever you look at the world, such a distribution is going on. Any living thing, body, water, or even kind of small microbes or consciousness of nature, do not hold things that come to it. It just lets them go. It distributes everything. They all think that they are the channels. God has sent these things to them, and they consider it is their duty to give these things to others. This is the very name of yagna. As scriptures say, Even the house can be a sacrifice, a yagna. I keep saying sacrifice, I mean yagna. How can this happen? A family can be like a yagna if everyone dedicates to the family and contributes to the yagna. The mother and the father see their newly formed child as a form of God. The wife considers her husband as a form of a personal God, and hence we have the word patidev for wives to address the husbands. In turn, the husband sees his wife as a form of the goddess he worships, and hence wives used to be called Devi. We therefore have a god and goddess. If this happens, then people in the family are not only together by body, under a roof, but also in their minds. Then Dev Puja, Sangati Karnam, and Dan take place in the family. The latter, if the family donate the money or time to spread good thoughts in society, then the whole family becomes a sacrifice. It will be difficult for the beginning, but if the family ties are strong, then it won't be difficult. Guruji gives his guarantee. A family can become a yagna. But people think that they will not be possible because of the nature of some members in the family. If you put all excuses, for example, your wife being argumentative or husband being argumentative, it won't work. But if you work together to achieve this, then the family can become a yagna. The family should help each other and work together so that everyone in the family can advance in life. How can one develop themselves through a yagna? If you study different scriptures, then you'll get the beautiful answer to this question. In the Vedas, the Brahmin scriptures and Upanishads, the importance of yagnas are explained at length. We should look at this long list. First of all, the concept of sacrifice should be clear in our mind. Yagna should be clear in our minds. We may have in our heads that this is a yagna saying swaha, swaha, and there's nothing more to it. But the scriptures have described the various characteristics and the good consequences that we will go through. The Gita says, Anyaneya bhavishyattam isha karmana druk, meaning sacrifice. It says in this verse, sacrifice, last line, sacrifices will fulfill your wishes. In the Yajurved, it is said that yagno ve swaha, meaning sacrifices brighten yourself, brighten your soul. He who does the sacrifices will increase the brightness of his soul. Worship fire, for example, brightens the soul. People see a sacrifice for the first time and do not see the science behind it, say, what are you people doing? You're wasting all this ghee. There's so many poor people in the world. Instead of putting it into the fire, why don't you go out and give it to the poor people so this misery will lessen? Those who do not know about the importance of yagna find this talk attractive. I'm not saying no to donating to the poor, but do give these offerings. Do not give these offerings to the yagna away. If you give away offerings before this yagna is finished, then it is wrong. Why? If you go to someone's house and give them a kilogram of ghee, then you're making them covetous and lustrous for that ghee for life. This is because 1 kilogram of ghee will last them for 20 days. Once this ghee has run out, then they will just sit there craving that ghee, waiting for someone to give them that ghee. Rather than giving ghee to someone else and making them covetous of it for life, why don't you use this 1 kilogram of ghee in a yagna and invite them? You'll be right because this is a characteristic of the yagna. They'll think that they will eat dry chapatis, but they'll never go to someone's house to beg themselves for ghee. Now tell me, which of these two options are better? Giving someone 1 kilogram of ghee and making them covetous of it for life, or giving this ghee to the sacrifice, they can have a dry chapati, but the brightness and the light in their lives increases. Sacrifices brighten your soul. In a Yajurved and a Shatpat Brahman, it is said, Yagno ve sumna, meaning yagnas give you peace and happiness. Yagna is happiness. From yagna, you get a nice cheerfulness. If we do a solemn sacrifice, then it certainly gives us cheerfulness. It gives us peace. In the same Yajurved and the Shatpat Brahman, it is said, Yagno shres vaitatam karma, meaning sacrifices or yagnas are great karmas. This is because when you do them, then you leave behind your ego and your minus, and this is a great karma. In the Mahanarayan Upanishad, it says, Yagne na deva divan gataha, meaning it is only because of the yagnas that the gods attained heaven. In the Kaushik Brahmanta, it says, Yagna bhufisha jashanta, meaning sacrifices are essential and necessary in this world. Taitra Brahman says, Yagno ve bhuvashya na vihi, meaning Yagnas are the navel of the world. See how important yagnas are. In the Chatpat Brahman it is said, Advaro Ve Yagna, meaning non-violence is yagna. In a Yajur Ved it is said, Yagno Ve Namaha, meaning yagnas are civility, and civility is sacrifice. Yagna, it is a good quality. In the Yajur Ved it is also said that Yagno Ve Bujahu, meaning that yagnas give us food. See the example of that person you make covetous of life. You take to the yagna will give him food. Remember, if a person is doing yagna for the right reason, he will never go hungry. You may think that all of it is magic when we read these important scriptures and we hear about these various experiences about yagnas, and you think that God is coming and doing all of this. Many saints and great personalities have said this. People hear about this when they go on pilgrimages. Nowadays there's hotels and inns for people to stay, but it wasn't like that in the past. You would meet many saints and great personalities, Mahatmas, that would do this fire yagna every single day. When they do the yagnas and the preparatory rituals before them, then day goes until about 11:30 p.m. When they got up to leave at this time, from somewhere, food always came. Many times they haven't even decided about this, but the food always came. People with rational minds would think that some magic has taken place here. For example, some saints were traveling near Ayodhya and they found a place to sleep in a forest between two villages. In the morning, they gathered some wood from nearby and began a yagna. They were in the middle of nowhere, and therefore there were no arrangements to eat. The saint said that two people dressed in clear white clothes, who were neither children nor youths, but had very, very youthful looks about them, came and gave these saints food to eat. The saints went to the next village and told people that these two youthful people came and they fed them. They asked them who they were, where they were in the village. People said that there's no such people of similar description living in a village. The saints gave further descriptions about what the men looked like, but the people in the village said that there's definitely no people looking like that in the village, and definitely no young people looking like that. The saint said that they were near Ayodhya, and maybe Ram and Lakshman had come to feed them. This is a matter of faith. Guruji has always liked the saying that when there is faith, then there is no need to prove it. There is no true fact in the Quran. I repeat it again. When there is faith, then there is no need to prove it. There is no true fact at all in the Quran. If you want to accept it, then accept it. If you do not want to accept it, then this is your choice. There's no pressure on you to believe it that it's true. Yagno ve bujahu. Yagnas give us food. In the Shatapat Brahman, it is said, Yagno ve bhagada, meaning yagnas are opulence and fortune. The word Bhagwan means one who is opulent and has fortune, possessions and wealth. Yagno ve huchanti means that sacrifices, yagnas are the root of truth. Yagno va avati means that yagnas protect us. Therefore, yagnas give us fortune, truth, protection, and make all our wishes come true. Therefore, yagnas advance and develop human beings. They lead to the fulfillment of wishes. What type of wishes? Shri Krishna said that they lead to the fulfillment of good, right, and just wishes. Good, right, and just wishes. They will not lead to the fulfillment of wrong wishes. Shri Krishna is very precise. If you have the right intentions, when you perform a sacrifice, then your wish will be fulfilled. The Pandavas did a yagna for the kingdom, and it was very successful. Duryodhana saw this, and he resolved that he wants the fame that the Pandavas enjoyed from the yagna. He thought that he had possessions for so many years, but he has never yet done a yagna. He thought that he wanted to do one as well. He called Brahmins, and he said that he wanted to do a sacrifice for his kingdom so he could get the same amount of fame. He did it with a desire in mind. The Brahmins said that one cannot have two yagnas in the family. They said that because the Pandavas had just done one, the Kauravas could not do so. Duryodhana said that they both had separate kingdoms. What was Duryodhana's intention? It was to create divisions. He did not perform a true sacrifice. He just wanted to do so because the Pandavas did so, and he wanted the fame that the Pandavas enjoyed. The Brahmins said, very well, there's another sacrifice called Vishnupatra that you can perform. Duryodhana performed this, and there's a description of it in the Mahabharata, but nobody remembers that. The Pandavas' yagna for the kingdom is still remembered today, 5,000 years later, because they did not do it in order so they could get remembered. They did it without desire. They thought, we have gathered so many possessions, let us make good use of that wealth. Duryodhana, on the other hand, had just did it for a show. Therefore, he was not successful. Therefore, you must have a godly intention, a right intention, and a good intention in performing a yagna. Only then will the yagna become successful. When you have the wrong intentions, then no matter how many times you say swaha, swaha, it will not be a yagna. Ravi Shankar Maharaj gave a very simple definition of a yagna. Yagna means to wear and tear yourself, to give yourself. What happens in a yagna? The divine energies in the world come together. It's a biochemical reaction. When these divine energies come together, they are pleased and they shower these blessings on the people performing the sacrifice. You must understand a mysterious law of life. One never gets what one asks in this world. The more you ask for, the more you will get hurt. Even if you get something you want, then the happiness from that thing gives you will not last a long time. The thing that comes without you asking has the greatest pleasure in it. You will never get what you ask. The more you run after that thing, the more it will hurt you. The thing you wish for most will keep going further and further away. But when you become steady and do things good, everything good will come and pour all over you. Then wherever you go, it will follow you like a shadow. There's an old English saying that happiness is like a butterfly. If you try to catch happiness, then it will fly away. But if you sit down, we discussed this with Mira, then it will just come itself and sit on your shoulder. This is a rule that Mira was working very, very hard to get people in this class. I told her happiness is like a butterfly. If you don't understand this rule, then there will be a lot of sadness. A yagna is acceptance of this rule. It shows that when you're doing something without desire and you're steady, then this is yagna. It shows that you have no greed, no wishes, and no desires. Therefore, these divine energies will pour their blessings all over you. The reason why Ravi Shankar Maharaj said what he did was because people that perform sacrifice, yagnas, with wishes in the mind, can attain things like heaven, but those that perform sacrifices, yagnas, without desire, get the fruit of the divine bliss of God. With that in mind, we finish this verse. Raja, we can stop the recording.